Record on the computer. There we go. Now we're recording. What else is in the chat here? Do we have class on Friday? No. Did I accidentally say that we have class on Friday at some point? Did I put it in a document?
It's in the syllabus and in the schedule.
No. Are you sure you're not looking at? Are you sure you're not looking at Calc 2, Madison?
I have Discrete pulled up right on my computer right now. So unless Discrete changed to Calc 2 again, I'm going to say no.
I see. You're right. It does say Zoom. You're right. It does say Zoom on Friday. Let me check the syllabus too. So I see what you mean about the schedule. You're right. It is there. Madison, you're like my editor this semester. So I appreciate that. Thank you. But no, in the class meeting times on the syllabus, it doesn't say Friday, does it?
Yeah, the page seems to be correct, at least for me, because in the information tab, it's still only marked as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, it is wrong on the schedule because it says Zoom every Friday. That's because I can show you. Okay, I'll go ahead and show you. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is our syllabus. Since I was talking a moment ago about this before I started recording for anybody watching this later, but I'll say it again. I was working on planning out where I'm going to be doing my grading, and I'm budgeting 4 minutes per student per week, and I'm going to be grading on Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend, which is why assignments are usually going to be due Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. The exception, because of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, is this first assignment. Exercise set 1 is due Sunday night. I will grade it on Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, I want to show you a document that I worked on over break. Not that. That's the activity we're going to do today. This is my document I worked on over break. So these are my courses. I'm teaching Calc 1, Calc 2, and Discrete Math this semester. So if you, this is hanging up in my office. If you're ever curious to see what my schedule looks like, this is it. And I've got this very carefully planned out as to when I'm collecting exercises and when I'm giving quizzes. And so every one of these assignments that I'm going to be grading is collected with a plan for exactly when I'm going to grade it. Last semester, I said I was going to grade more things than I ended up grading, and I ended up not really giving feedback on things that I was planning on giving feedback on, and generally I was kind of disappointed in myself. So that's why I'm trying to do better this semester at that. So hopefully you guys get lots of good feedback from me this semester if this plan works out. I'm kind of excited because I hate feeling behind. I like feeling on top of my work. You know, I like feeling like I'm caught up. And I'm hoping that this plan allows me to feel caught up. So as you can see, this column is the one that I copy pasted into the schedule. And because Calculus 1 and 2 do meet on Friday, it has a Zoom meeting scheduled on Friday. So that is the reason I made that mistake. But anyway, I just thought you might be interested to see that. I'll put that away. I don't really need that now. So getting back to our syllabus, this is our syllabus. So this schedule is the version of that, 2 columns here for the whole semester that just has your discrete math stuff on it. Okay. As long as we're on this page, I'll point out a couple of other things. You will see homework deadlines as well. These are really sort of benchmarks. The way that you're going to report your homework completion grades is through a thing I've dubbed a homework quiz. It's the quiz function in D2L, and I'll show you how to use that in a little bit. But this is sort of an initial deadline. I want you to make sure that you've reported a homework grade so that can go into the grade book no later than this day. However, there's no actual due date for that homework submission. So And the way that I set up the quiz, you can like redo the quiz as many times as you want. The quiz is just a mechanic for you to report your homework, self-report your homework completion grade and have that go into the grade book. Okay, all of that is going to be worth 10% of your overall grade, but so it's not a huge amount. It's a self-reported grade, so please be honest. Being honest is going to be helpful to me, because then if you are falling behind in the homework, I'll be able to notice that, and then you know, it'll be one way that I can kind of track you and look after you. So if you're falling behind, I can ask you about it and maybe give you some words of encouragement and talk to you about, you know, what can we do to better support you, and, you know, get you help you find the time to put in that homework or whatever it is that you need. Okay, maybe we'll schedule some extra office visits so I can answer some of your questions, that kind of thing. Okay, so I would really like you to be accurate with that, so that I can, you know, have a accurate view of where you are with your homework. I'm just opening up a separate tab with the with your D2L, because as long as we're talking about that homework thing, I want to show you how you're going to do that, how you're going to report it. So you're going to go into your homework quizzes thing here. This used to be just called quizzes, and then I found a way to rename it. And so you're going to click on your chapter 1 homework. Now, when you click on it, it's going to look a bit different than when I click on it, but unfortunately, D2L doesn't let the instructor show you like what it's going to look like. Oh, actually, no, maybe I can. I preview it. Hang on, let's see if I can preview it. All right. Oh, preview. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I can show you what it looks like. So it's going to look like this. It's going to tell you the instructions. This is really the instructions here. Select true for each percentage tier that you have completed. For example, if you completed 40%, you'd answer true for the first 4 questions. This will make sense in a second. And then you answer false or just skip the last 6. So what does it look like? It's going to look like this. Each one says, I completed at least some percentage of the assigned homework problems. So if you completed 50%, you would do true, 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 true. That's 50%. And then I think you can just leave the rest of them blank or select false. And then that, when you submit it, you can say whatever, that's fine. So now you have a 50%. So we have 5 out of 10 in the grade book. Does that make sense? So this is just an automated way for you to put your own grade in the grade book. I don't have to do it. All right, so that's all I wanted to say about that. So going back to this schedule, let me just check the chat to see if there's any questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions at the moment. Yeah, so going back to the schedule, another thing you'll notice is this thing, this little yellow highlighted area over here. This is the ARCC Oscars. So optionally, for a little bit of extra credit, which I haven't really specified yet, but I will give a little bit of extra credit, you will be able to present your project. You and your team can present your project at the ARCC Oscars event, which is like a special event that the campus holds for students and faculty to present their scholarly work. This is something that looks great on a resume, especially if you want to go into like some academic, really academic field. If you're looking to apply to a 4-year institution, or later, if you're looking to apply to graduate schools, potentially, showing that you've done some sort of scholarly presentations is really good. There's 2 ways that you can present at the ARCC Oscars. One is to give a poster. It's to just like participate in the called poster session, where you create like a display that describes your project, and then you just kind of put it up and you stand next to it, and then people walk around and they can look at it and read it and ask you questions. And you're there just to kind of like talk to people. It's sort of an informal presentation, a la carte style, The other way that you can participate in the Oscars is to sign up to actually give a talk. So then you and your teammates might, be giving a presentation. You're actually speaking to a group with a slideshow or something. You're going to be doing this anyway, because your assignment for the course, for this class, is going to be to do your project and then create a presentation, which you present to the rest of the class. We're going to be doing those. They're going to be video presentations. So you're going to be recording a video. So you'll probably be creating a slide and recording it anyway. So in order to earn that extra credit, all you would need to do is just make sure that you're kind of ready like a week and a half in advance. And then you can give that presentation at the Oscars for extra credit, and then submit your video project to give the presentation to the rest of the class as well. Does that make sense? So that's what that's all about. And now I've told you a little bit about that project as well. We are going to be starting the project pretty much right after spring break. So spring break, you'll see, is right here. And then we'll begin working on the project. Let's see, I think the first project workday I have written down is in week 11. And after that, every Wednesday is going to be a project workday, which means when we're on campus together on Wednesdays, we're not really going to be doing regular class activities. It'll be time for you and your group to meet together and work on the project. So it's a pretty bulky project. I really expect it to be a significant thing. It is what you do for this class instead of a final exam. And so you're going to be spending 8 weeks working on it. So, it's not a small project. It's worth 20% of your overall grade. Okay. So, all right. So I think that's about all I wanted to say on this page. Scooting back, there's a ton of stuff on here. Here's how much percent everything's worth. There's course policies in here, like, scanning instructions and late passes and redos. Do you folks have any questions about any of this stuff? Oh, somebody's having trouble getting into the meeting. Hang on a second. Oh, shit. I see what happened.
I was sitting here confused. I didn't think we had a 15-person class.
Yeah, okay. So I have to apologize to about 20 of you. Luckily for you, I've been recording. All you missed is the syllabus, so it's not a big deal. But I hope it's not a big deal. But I must sincerely apologize to you. I didn't notice that like a bunch of you were sitting waiting in the waiting room. I'm sorry about that. Thank you to whoever texted me. Appreciate that. I think I just got all sort of wonky because this Zoom session actually started for my office hours earlier, and it just kept going. So I never disabled the waiting room.
About to say you don't normally have the waiting room on, I thought.
Yeah, that was the problem. The waiting room was turned on, and so people were just getting put in the waiting room. I'm sorry, everyone. Like I said, all that you've missed is me talking about the syllabus. So please watch the video, because I think the most important thing I talked about was the project. I shared a little bit of information about the project and an extra credit opportunity. It's not coming up until after spring break, so I will absolutely be talking about this stuff again. So there's no hurry to learn about the project. But watch the first few minutes there of that recording when I post this to YouTube later. And then does anybody have, now that everybody's in the room, I'll ask again, does anybody have questions about anything on this syllabus? Here's a question. There is no class on Friday. That's correct. Yeah. So that was a copy paste error. There's not supposed to be a Zoom on Friday. Sorry about that. I'll fix that.
We aren't having a weekly topicless Zoom. Drat.
It'd be sort of cool, but I have that time budgeted for something else. That's my prep time for the next week. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sharing my screen, aren't I? Yeah, so you can see my schedule over here. You can see I probably shouldn't share my whole schedule on the internet. That's got my family stuff in it. Anyway. Yeah. Questions? Attendance. Yeah, if you miss a class lecture, you can attend office help hours to make that up. That's correct. Yep. So if you miss a day, all you got to do is stop in one of my help hours and talk to me about it. And I'll just make sure that you're caught up, and that'll check off that attendance date for you, so you get the credit.
I have a question about like the activities.
Okay.
So like how does that work basically? Is it just the stuff we're doing in class?
Yeah, activities is just what we're doing in class. That's right. So if you miss an activity day, then I'll just, maybe give you a copy of whatever problems we were working on, and you can.
And then do you do activities on Zoom days or no?
Oh, we're actually going to do one today. Yeah, we're going to do one over here on the Jamboard today. After we finish this conversation. So sometimes.
Yeah, and also I have a question about the homework. So like, how does that work? I was just confused about it.
Yeah,
like, is it graded or like not?
It's not. It's part of your grade, but it's a self-reported grade. So I'll show you this again. So in here, you've got homework quizzes. This is separate from the exercise set. I see in the chat people saying Sunday. That's the exercise set is due Sunday, the first exercise set, but that's not really with the homework. So John may have been asking about the actual textbook homework, which is a separate thing. So that's what you're going to submit. It's a self-reported grade. You're going to come in here to the homework quote quiz. It's not really a quiz. This is what it's going to look like. And I start the quiz, and every question, there's 10 true false questions. The correct answer to every question is true, which means that you get a point if you answer true, and you don't get the point if you answer false. But it's not really it's not a real quiz. It's not like, you're just answering, you're supposed to answer honestly how much of the homework you completed. This is self-reported grade, right? So if you reported, say, 30%, you would click the first 3. That makes sense. If you did 90%, you would say true for the first 9 of them.
And when are these due? Is it just whenever, or?
It is kind of just whenever. So in the schedule, I have a benchmark deadline for when I want you to have submitted a grade for chapter 1, right? So Sunday, January 29th here. So I'd like you to make sure you have a grade, you've submitted a grade to the gradebook by that date.
Okay, all right.
I'll probably just check through the gradebook to see that people have submitted it, and then I'll ping you a reminder if you haven't. But later in the semester, if you want to go back and do more chapter 1 homework and improve your score, you can do that. And then you would just take the quiz again and report an updated score.
All right. And then for the exercise set, are we allowed to get help on it, or is it just sort of like we have to do it by ourselves?
Good question. Yeah, the exercise sets are one of the 2 main types of assessments, right? There's exercise sets and there's quizzes. The exercise sets, you can work together. You can use the textbook. You can use your class notes. You can ask me questions. You can ask questions of tutors. So it's really, the exercise set is, you've got a lot of resources available to you, all the good resources. You don't want to be, so definitely don't be posting those questions to the internet and getting help from strangers on the internet, because it would be cheating. So don't post problems to Chegg, don't look up questions on Chegg and answer and copy things from Chegg. I've had huge problems with that in the past, and I have found ways to deal with that and catch people when they use Chegg. So so don't do that, because then I'll have to apply then I would have to end up applying my academic integrity policy over here, and you get a 0. And I'd rather not have to do that. But yeah, all the other resources are available. Quizzes, though, are like, your standard quizzes. It's you by yourself without your notes or anything. It's just the only thing you're allowed to use on the quiz is the reference sheet. So you don't have to memorize all those, like, all those different, like, propositional equivalences that we were looking at yesterday. You'll have that whole list available to you on all the quizzes.
All right, thank you.
Great. We haven't done circuits yet, but circuits are coming up. We're going to do circuits now, or very soon. So the first thing I want to do is spend about 10 minutes doing some practice doing negation. So I want you to come over here to the Jamboard. All right, so you can access the Jamboard from, let me just close some tabs here. You can access the Jamboard from the main D2L page. There's a link to it right there. There we go. See that? So click that, and that'll take you over to this Jamboard here. And so once you're here, I've got, I think, 7 different pages of 7 different examples, and they are labeled mild, medium, or spicy. So I'm just going to let you all just go at it and work together on these 7 problems. So you can choose to start on a mild, a medium, or a spicy one, whatever you're comfortable with. You can interact by drawing. Okay, if you have a stylus, especially, you could be writing things. But with it's not. You can use a mouse. You can also type little boxes. You can say blah blah, type things. You can use that symbol for and, or you can use this symbol for or. You can just use you can use a minus or maybe an exclamation point for negation if you want to. You can do that. You can even like post little sticky notes. You can be like, hey, I don't understand this part. Can someone explain it? And then stick that next to something. And then somebody else can reply to you. If you click on this box up here, you can probably, I think you guys should be able to do this yourself. You can like add pages. Here, hang on, let me try again. Oh, someone maxed it out. Oh, come on, guys. Someone maxed out our page count. Let's delete some of these empty pages. Maybe someone could work on that for me. But yeah, if you want to add like another page in between, you can do that. And then you can take it and you can go over there and like maybe give yourself a little extra whiteboard space to work on it. So you guys, please feel free to make this your own space and do all sorts of cool things here. Okay, so go ahead. 10 minutes. I want to see you guys solve these together, and then we'll talk about them. In every case, yeah, well, that's right. In every case, the goal is to figure out the negation. So you're going to be representing them symbolically, and then doing a negation symbolically, and then converting that back into words again. All right. Now, somebody asked me, how do you do a negation of a conditional statement in the chat? And I'm going to leave it to you guys to see if you can figure that out. All right. Go.
Is anyone on card 7? I need an opinion there.
I mean, I can give you an opinion, but it might not be right.
I'm looking at card 7, and it feels like the only inference there is B, thus C.
I feel the same too, Kyler.
But it could also be like A and B, but C. A and B, thus C. It could be in both ways. But then doing the negation leads to the weird situation of whenever I'm not at work and I do not see Scott, then Scott does not work more than I do, which doesn't make sense.
Will this Jamboard be saved, like for like notes and everything, like as examples?
You guys can export it at the end of class. I'll keep it up there for a little while, but I will wipe it clean at some point. Like before basically when I'm preparing the next activity that we use here. So if you want it, yeah, you can somewhere up there in the options, I think it's in the drop down ... menu, you can download as a PDF.
Sounds good.
I have a question about negation.
Go for it.
So are we like negating the entire statement, or are we only negating like part of it? For like an example,
go ahead.
For example, it says like I am here, and if it is 10 o'clock, then I'm listening. So will like the negation be I am not here, and if it is not 10 o'clock, then I am not listening?
No. So what you did is you went through and you just negated each individual part of like component of the compound proposition, but what you want to do is negate the entire thing. So for example, yesterday we looked at the reference sheet, and one of the things on the reference sheet was these things called De Morgan's laws. And the De Morgan's laws are useful when you want to negate like an and statement. Remember, if you negate an and, then it kind of turns into an or. Does that sound familiar?
Let me look at the reference sheet real quick.
Yeah. I recommend checking that out. Look at those De Morgan's laws.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I've been tracking attendance here while you guys were working on this, and there's some folks I can't see. I'm missing Connor St. Aubin, Daniel Bolin, Jordan Levercom, Micah Voorhees, Muisin, Abtekin, Noah Sayer, Philip Gronov, not sure how to pronounce that, and Yuel Jonathan. Are any of those people here and I just missed you somehow? Just checking. All right, I think that's probably a no. All right, so great. So let's take a look at what you guys did here. I'm going to share my screen and we'll talk. We'll go and talk about them. Okay, so let's start with number one. Light is on or the fan is running. So I gave you the symbolic version, L or F. Here we just apply negation. We apply De Morgan's law. So we have not L and not F. Translating that back into words, the light is not on and the fan is not running. Perfect. Great job, everybody. Let's see. If we say pugs are nice but not cute, then the word but is really logically exactly the same as the word and. So it's A and not B. Perfect. So again, doing De Morgan's law along with a little double negation canceling out like a double negative on the second term there. We have not A or B, which in words would be either pugs are not nice or they are cute. Great. So this would be the correct one. This guy is with the word but again. We don't want that because that's an and as you can see over here, the negation in symbolic form is indeed an or. That is correct. So they are not nice or they are cute. Now, the way this one is written is a little bit vague. I think, and this is a problem with the language, not the logic. If we say pugs are not nice or cute, then I feel like there's a almost an implication in the wording there that the nice or cute is like in parentheses. You know what I mean? So that can be a little bit hard to interpret. But I think the way this is worded is quite clear. Yeah, no words here. And yeah, definitely if you need to make any grammatical alterations to make it make sense, you can do that without changing the logical meaning of the sentence. And so I do think it is good to practice altering things grammatically without changing the logic for ease of communication. So yeah, that's good. Please do that. I think it is a valuable skill. Moving on here, we've got if it is cold, then I do not play tennis. Right. So how exactly do you negate an implication statement? This is not correct. So to start with, how can we? So first of all, like let's be clear. We don't have like a direct rule that tells us how to negate an implication statement, which is why you guys were feeling uncertain about it, I think. What we do have instead presented to you, that I presented to you yesterday, was a way to rewrite an implication statement that without having to use the arrow, without having to use the implication operation. So how could we rewrite this statement in an equivalent way without using the arrow operation? Ibrahim's got it in the chat. So Ibrahim, you gave the general version of this, not P or Q. So that would be like, that's equivalent to P implies Q. So in our case, we basically want to do the not hypothesis or conclusion, right? Where P would be the hypothesis and Q would be the conclusion, right? So not hypothesis or conclusion. So that not C or not T, that is equivalent to the original statement. C implies not R. C implies not T. Okay, so now if we want to negate this statement, we can negate this version of it using De Morgan's law. So now we're gonna say De Morgan's law, negate this. It's going to become an and then we have to negate each of these terms, which are both going to be double negatives. So we should have C and T right here. So translating that into words, we should have, it is cold and I play tennis. That's it. Just, it is cold and I play tennis. Okay. So you'll notice when you negate an if-then statement, the result of that negation is no longer an if-then statement. It is not. It's actually impossible to phrase that equivalently using an if-then construction. It simply isn't an if-then statement anymore. One way to think about this is because of that, because of this, P implies Q is equivalent to not P or Q. Because of that conditional disjunctive equivalence, implication statements are like disjunctions. They are like or statements on some level, right? Like in this exact way right here. So when you, just like De Morgan's law, when you negate an or, it becomes an and. So when you negate an implication, likewise, you get an and statement. It is cold and I play tennis. You could even finish this up to say, like, it is cold and I play tennis anyway. You know, maybe putting that word on the end, saying, well, that's like contradicting the original thing. If it's cold, then I don't play tennis. Well, now it's cold, but I'm playing tennis anyway. You know, so maybe that can help you understand how these are perfect negations of each other. Okay, so that I hope clears up a lot of the misunderstanding. Now we're running a bit short on time, so I don't want to go over the rest of these right now. So the other medium and spicy ones we'll go over later. Maybe we can kind of check over those at the beginning of class on Tuesday. But for now, I have to make sure that you guys learn how to do. Circuits, because I was meant to do circuits today and we were running a bit short on time. So let's go ahead and do that. So switching over, let's see, I need to share my other screen. Okay, so suppose we have P implies Q and we want to make a circuit for P implies Q. A circuit works like this. You kind of imagine that you have some wires. And the wires are going to carry digital signals. So a wire carries a voltage, and if it's above a certain threshold, it's a 1. And if it's below a certain that threshold, then it's a 0. That's how computers work. Okay. So we have these two wires that are carrying signals, and those signals are 0 or 1. And that means that the signal is like a true or a false. And what we want to do is imagine combining two signal inputs to produce a signal output in a way that gives us the correct truth value of the overall compound proposition. So if we want to create a circuit for example, P implies Q, then what we need to do is use some things called logic gates. But here are the logic gates available to us. So one of them is the AND gate. The AND gate looks like this. It sort of looks like a semicircle. Okay, P and Q. Then we have an OR gate, and the OR gate looks sort of like a chevron, or like if you turn it on its side, it looks kind of like well, it's sort of like a triangle. I think it looks like the Star Trek symbol. Isn't that a Star Trek logo or whatever? Sort of. That's the OR symbol. So this is called an OR gate. This is literally, by the way, these are things you can literally make on a physical circuit board by combining transistors. I gotta get the right word. Transistors. You build these gates out of transistors in certain configurations, and that can produce an AND gate or an OR gate. And then the third gate we have access to is the NOT gate. And a NOT gate is like a little arrow going into a circle and then continuing on. So this gives us the negation of a signal. So it just flips it. It's just a flipper, just flips it from a 1 to a 0 or from a 0 to a 1. So these are really the only 3 gates that we're going to be working with. There are other gates for things like NAND and NOR. We might talk about those at some point later this semester, especially if you do a project on Boolean algebra. But for now, we're just going to use these 3 gates. Notice we don't have an implication arrow gate, right? So what we have to do is first use the conditional disjunctive equivalence to say, well, let's rewrite that implication as a not P or Q. And then if I want to make a circuit for this, I can do it as follows. First, I take my P and I negate it. We have to make sure to follow the order of operations here. So I can negate the P signal. And then I take the result of that negation combined with the Q signal, and I put them together using an OR gate. And that is my circuit for P implies Q. Okay, if you feed it 2 digital signals, it will output a single digital signal whose value is equal to that of this proposition. So, so I hope that you're beginning to see how the circuit boards in computers are literally doing logic. Okay, in fact, sometimes it's called a logic board. That's why. Because the 1s and the 0s represents trues and falses. And if you think of those signals as having meaning, then the computer can do logic, okay, in the form of 1s and 0s and circuits, okay. So that's really one of the really key fundamental concepts of like what a computer even is. All right, so I hope that's kind of becoming clear here. So I think that's about it. You guys have a bit of a more complicated version of a circuit to do on your exercise set, but I think that you can handle it. You have all the tools you need, and you just need to learn how to put them. You just need to sort of practice putting them together. Any questions? We might. There is a comment about XOR from Kyler there. Yeah, we might talk about XOR later. XOR is what's called functionally complete, which means you can technically make anything out of XORs, and only XORs. It gets really complicated. Like you could build an equivalent circuit, but it would have like 2 or 3 times as many gates in it. But you could build an equivalent circuit using only XOR gates, or only XAND, or sorry, no. What about, hang on, sorry. Scratch everything I just said. I'm not thinking about XOR, I'm thinking about NAND. NAND and NOR are two gates that are functionally complete. Actually, I don't think XOR is functionally complete. I take that back. Don't worry, that's not going to be on a quiz. So
is there a logic gate for the arrow itself?
There is no logic gate for the arrow itself that I'm aware of. I've never, sorry, I just zoomed in by mistake there. I've never seen one.
Yeah, because I'm just looking over the exercise and it says in question 3, write a circuit diagram, and there's like, I think I can write a circuit diagram for the Q and R, but I don't know what to do with the P leading an arrow to them.
Well, that's what I'm just showing you right here.
Oh.
Yep, that's what I'm showing you right here. It's the way that you can do the arrow is by first turning it into a disjunction, right? That's what this equivalence can be used for. Lead an arrow gate.
Since you've shown this to us, are we allowed to black box it at this point and just make it a module in our circuit diagrams?
I'd rather you not do that yet. I kind of want things to be written out explicitly. Maybe later if you end up doing more bigger, more complicated circuits, we could do that. Yeah. All right.
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Cameron.
So, did you say something about office hours for like something like you missed the class or something?
Yep. If you miss a day of class, then you can make up the attendance credit by just stopping by an office hour and talking to me, and we'll just, I just want to make sure that you're not
All right.
falling behind.
And what time is that?
So we have it directly after class every day for half an hour. I also have one. Yeah, if you got to get going, please go ahead and head out, folks. Directly after our class every day for half an hour. Otherwise, also at 9 o'clock in the morning for half an hour.
Okay.
And then on Fridays, it's 9 to 10.
Okay.
Are we doing one right after this?
Yep. Yep. We can do one right now.
All right. I'm kind of in need of one, I guess.
Stick around if you'd like. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to, since I'm recording here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this session, and then I will start a new Zoom session in about 5 minutes for that office hour. Sound good, folks? So,
Yep.
yeah, and just take a little breather. We'll be right back.